Hello, everybody. Hello, welcome, and happy holidays to everybody who has tuned in to watch us during the holiday season or outside the holiday season, in which case you're probably feeling discombobulated and confused. But don't worry, so are we, because of course this is a hot Australian holiday season where it's probably about 35 degrees outside. Maybe not that hot, but still, we're sweating and it's wonderful. Thank you for joining us. This is the Stream of Chaos, Chaosium's home for Call of Cthulhu live plays and many other exciting things on the internet. And I am joined by these wonderful people here, as we always are, for our last game of the year before we take a break. And we'll be talking about what's going to be coming next after the break and all kinds of exciting things like that at the end of this episode. But for now, let's introduce everybody. To my right, over here. Hey! Yeah!
That's you.
I'm Jackson. Gets me gunpowder.
Yeah.
Nice. In tonight's episode, I am playing Jane Graham, who is a land agent in the southeast of England, who is in charge of looking after the property and wealth and to-do of her family. Yes, indeed. And I'd like to ask you, what do you call a butcher's apprentice?
I don't know. What do you call a butcher's apprentice?
A shop assistant.
Oh, well done.
Nice.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay. And after that fantastic bit of humour, over to my left over here.
Hi, my name is Rachel. Oh, Jesus. Give me that, it's mine. I am playing the Reverend Edward Parkins. He was an army chaplain who believes that a dying man doesn't need a sermon, he needs a friend and a hand to hold.
That's nice.
And also, what should you do if you see a spaceman?
What?
What?
I don't know.
What should you do if you see a
I
spaceman?
don't understand.
Well,
What should you do if you see a
It
spaceman?
says, parking it, man.
Oh, it's like, oh, dude, there's a spaceman.
Oh.
And you go, oh, I'm going to park it, man.
Okay.
Should they do
That's
festive themed?
I like it. Excellent. And finally, over here, still smelling of gunpowder.
Hello, I'm David. I'm playing Robert Graham, and I served in the war.
hey, you're the only one who won yours.
Where did I? Oh,
This is really
There
small.
it is. There's your hat.
Thank you. That's
I
the
don't even
hat.
have a big head.
So I'm playing Robert Graham. Oh, I found it. We're good. I am a journalist. I lost my leg in the war. Where would you find a reindeer with no legs?
Oh!
Presumably on the western front.
In the trenches.
It's right where you left it,
Ah.
which is just morbid, particularly me.
Yeah, especially with this extra context.
I know.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. We're going to jump in with a special holiday campaign set in 1926 in the north of England. And we hope that you really enjoy yourselves. Come in, feel free to share a little bit of festive cheer in chat if you would like to. We're all here to have a bit of fun, and thank you so much for joining us over these last weeks and months, and we look forward to what's coming next. But for now, let's get started. Okay. So, first of all, I'm going to read a little bit of a quote to the collection of you. It's a quote from Julius Caesar. Not actually Julius Caesar, it's a quote from the play Julius Caesar by William Shakespeare.
Clever.
And that quote is, "The evil that men do lives after them. The good is oft interred with their bones." A little morbid for a festive little bit of note, but let's continue on anyway. So,
Bit of a downer.
I was looking forward to Christmas.
exactly. Well, don't worry. Christmas is here. At least in this game, it is. It is 1926. It is December. It is right on the lead up towards Christmas Day, and the collection of you, who are all basically part of the same extended family, have decided to gather together for a little bit of a Christmas shindig. Now, it's going to be hosted at the house of your uncle, who is,
Stanley?
by extension in law, your uncle as well, Jane. And you were friends with, and the man's name is Stanley Graham, or Colonel Stanley Graham,
Oh,
as
he's
he
a
would
colonel.
be. Well, absolutely, he was part of the Royal Engineers in the First World War, and he's now taken a very luxurious, happy retirement. and he has devoted all of his life to amateur study of history in England. So you all remember very fondly when you would visit him as not really children, but as you were growing up. You would see he had this grand office and was filled with all these wonderful pieces of military history. He'd have weapons on the walls and, famous pictures and portraits of generals and soldiers and all this kind of stuff. And that has now all been left away and replaced with makeshift libraries and trestle tables covered in bits of pottery and fragments of all kind of stuff. And on an average day, you can find Stanley with a trowel in hand digging in his backyard, which is quite a large set of grounds. He has a fairly sizable estate up in Burford in the north of England. And he's invited you all up, and you all probably have a pretty interest in history. And that kind of stuff, and you're happy to chat with him and share those kind of conversations, and you're looking forward to this trip, really. So we're going to jump into the game as you are all heading in along the Border Counties railway line, a big chugging train as it moves through, being bobbed and jostled around as you wait to pull into Burford Station. Can I get you all to give me a quick description of what you think your characters look like? And bear in mind, it is currently the 24th of December, so Christmas Eve will be this evening, and you will be celebrating that evening and then going for some nice walks and having a lunch tomorrow. You'll be staying with Stanley at his house, and he has arranged to pick you up in his car from the railway station. So whatever you've packed, what's your trip looking like? What are you all wearing? How are you all looking? What's the go? Who wants to go first?
Okay, I got one suitcase which I have a thin layer of clothes on, and I've hidden all the presents under it so no one can find where they are. I'm dressed in corduroys rather, which have been pinned up above one knee because I'm missing my left leg, and then I'm stuffed my portly form into a Chrissy jumper, which I'm happily admiring in the window next to me as we roar along the countryside. I'm just noting the sort of red colours and things. I'm very pleased with myself.
And the country outside is perfect, by the way. It's all these little thatched cottages and rolling fields.
Lovely.
It's absolutely beautiful. There's a large layer of snow, and the cheer is heavy in the air. Who wants to go next?
I'll go. So I have a small, modest suitcase in which I've packed my second and third change of clothes, which is the same. What do you call the collar?
The paper collar.
Yeah, the paper collar. Let's go with.
So I'm kind of like a middle-aged man. Got like reddish kind of like balding hair, but like just a very friendly affect. Kind of like a bit red-faced.
Yes.
Probably a bit too skinny for his clothes, and wears like the collar and like the black sort of outfit, and has basically just two identical copies of those. The presents that I've got, everyone is getting the same thing. It's a respectable biro.
Oh, wonderful. Very respectable.
and affordable.
And I've got them all in like little boxes, and they're all neatly packed in my suitcase next to my clothes.
Fantastic. I love it. That's absolutely brilliant. And finally,
Excellent.
over here.
We're my husband Graham, of course, you see you only have one suitcase.
Graham is our last name.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Graham.
No, we both just call each other Graham.
Yes.
No one else would get it. Graham?
You just have one suitcase?
Yes.
Plus my 6 suitcases?
Yeah, they're in the trunk. I had to lift them all
Which
up.
you drag along, because Jane has an outfit for every meal.
Yep.
Every breakfast,
Nice.
evening, and dinner. She's currently sporting a long, kind of graceful woolen coat.
Ooh, fantastic.
And she has brought an enormous amount of sugar for all of the children. May or may not be in attendance, just because it amuses her to see them go wild.
Right.
It's not
About an
really
hour
your
later.
problem. Yeah.
No, that's right.
Are there going to be children in attendance?
There will be a few in attendance on Christmas Day that will be arriving, but you are all arriving a little bit early, so you'll also be spending Christmas Eve with Stanley. And since there won't be many kids around or folk with large extended families, you know that Stanley is probably going to suggest we break out a bottle before. Very good. All right. So the train rolls into this idyllic Victorian station. The doors open and you walk off, stopping briefly to unload a veritable horde of luggage, which Jane stands by looking at very approvingly. It's a very nice area. And can I get someone to make a spot hidden to try and spot Stanley as you're sort of milling around the station? There's not really many other people getting up. Burford is a very small, kind of rural community, kind of that rural England feel. So unfortunately, you stand and you look around and start waiting for Stanley, and you really can't spot him at all. And you wait, and the train heads off, and very quickly you find yourselves the only people in the station standing alone. It's getting a bit chilly. There's no lights on in the station. Doesn't appear to be staffed at this hour. You're just kind of waiting.
What time is it? What time have we rolled up?
You're probably arrived at about 8, and it's about 8:30 now.
8 p.m. or
Yes,
morning.
8 p.m.
Just for my own understanding, have we done this before?
You probably have been to Chrissy at Stanley's before, yes, but you wouldn't have all arrived at once in the same train.
Right. Okay.
So this is it's not out of the ordinary, but it's you haven't done it before.
Right. Okay.
Kind of waiting around and getting a little bit tense. Everyone's getting a little bit cold, and then finally, puttering along, comes this ramshackle car. It's very, very nice. It's very, very fancy, but it's just not particularly well maintained. And it swings into a car park. There's many of them. What does it say? If it sees a car man, a spot man.
Spot man.
Yeah, it sees a space man. That was it. All right, we're not going to reference those terrible Christmas cracker jokes anymore.
Get on the floor.
And the door opens, and the car is like steaming at the front from the heat in the cold weather. And this large man gets out with great big mutton chops and a big bristling mustache that curls into the corner of his mouth, and like a large jacket. And he walks and he goes, "Ah!" And you recognize immediately it's the Colonel, and he rushes forward and he pulls all of you into a proper handshake or a hug or a polite nod, whatever you would request. I'm guessing hug, handshake, nod. Or would I be witness that? Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Hang on.
Yeah, all right. And then says, "Right, I'm so sorry I'm late. I've been completely taken away with my work. I've made some fantastic discoveries in the last few days. I've just been itemizing and cataloging, and you know how I get when there's a notebook around. Anyway, you're here. It's time for us to head on back, and let's begin to celebrate the season." He turns and he walks towards the car, and you all load in. And he turns and the key, and nothing happens. The engine does not start. He goes, right. Turns it again, and nothing happens. Does anyone have mechanical repair?
Nope.
I have medicine.
No.
Yeah, okay. Well, unfortunately,
The medicine in the car.
Sure, it just needs a kick.
oh well, I suppose. You walk around to the side. Can you make a strength test for me?
Oh shit! Hell yeah! Oh, it's not that good.
I was just sitting in the car, it's getting cold. I go, and tell me again, Stanley, how far away do you live?
Oh, not far. Perhaps a 15-minute drive.
Succeeded by 1.
Oh, fantastic. Well done. So you give a vicious kick to the side of the car, and the spluttering motor actually will, out of a Christmas miracle, lurch back into life.
Wait, I'm not Catholic, so I wouldn't do like it. What would I do?
And you could still cross yourself as a
Really?
Give him two big,
COE, presumably.
two big thumbs up.
Choose big man.
The Usain Bolt folks.
You load in and you turn about. The car turns about. And you begin to drive back, pottering away as you head down the road, and everyone is very relaxed. And you begin to chatter and you begin to talk.
Yes.
Stanley's asking about how everyone's doing. So Jane, how's your work going?
Oh yes, quite well, thank you, Uncle. The farm workers are working. They're earning their keep, and we're most pleased with their progress.
Very glad to hear. That's wonderful. And my boy, how's the leg?
eggs this time of year, as you well know. But Stanley, do you think you'll still be Santa Claus this year?
No,
I think that might be a contender.
And there's a rippling laughter.
To the amount of rum that was consumed last year, perhaps that's not
Hush now. The Christmas spirit.
Speaking of Christmas spirits, you managed to bring us along anything of particularly exciting vintage, Reverend?
Like,
To drink, yes.
Oh, of course. In the back of my cupboard.
Oh, brilliant. The Reverend provides as is customary.
I might have applied some of the church donation. Just $4 from the kitty. But don't tell the other people who are at the church.
Don't tell the poor children that we're eating.
I'm afraid we're short $4. You won't be having the hospital today.
Out into the cold.
So you continue to. It's so hot.
Sorry, it's too cold down here.
It's so cold.
How do we sound like windows or a heater?
Actually, it would be an open car. So
benevolent.
Now, as you're driving along, suddenly, as is classic in these moments, whenever you get in a car and drive along in a game of Call of Cthulhu, you're just waiting for something to run out in front of you. Yeah. And it is exactly moments later, you suddenly see a figure come darting into the center of the road and start waving their arms frantically at the car. Can I get everybody to make either a spot hidden or a drive auto test to try and alert Stanley, who is kind of like just nattering?
I success 2.
Do we need the baubles in the dice tray?
Yes.
I mean...
Do you hate Christmas? Quick count. Who hates Christmas? That's one for hating Christmas, 3 for liking Christmas. Leave them.
I do if it's going to like interfere with
I have
my
a 17.
random number generation.
I failed.
Success 2 on the spot hidden.
Okay. Now, so the two of you don't manage to say anything in time, but you spot this figure arriving, and how do you alert Stanley? You're probably sitting in the front.
Yeah, I was
you
gonna
can grab
say.
the wheel.
Yeah, I was gonna. That's what I was thinking.
Right.
Just.
Excellent. You grab the wheel and spin it in. Stanley going, "What the devil?" But you manage to pull the car aside. It skids to a halt, almost going off the road because it's very icy and snowy and all that kind of stuff. And a man darts towards the side door. He looks. He's sort of quite thin. He's got a well-tailored beard. He's wearing a series of large coats and has like all these heavy bags. And as he goes through, sort of panting heavily, he says, "Stanley, sorry, it's an emergency." And Stanley, everybody, let me introduce you to Dr. Hawkins, the town doctor. What are you doing out and about, Dr. Hawkins? And it's the disaster. Really, I was attending to an urgent house call and my car's broken down. You couldn't possibly give me a lift, could you? I do fear that someone's been quite gravely injured. Stanley kind of looks towards the collection of you for verification. That's okay.
Yeah, of course. He can. Is there a space that he can climb onto the back?
Excellent. Thank you. And he loads in. You're quite squished now because these cars really are made for 3 in the back.
So, Jane, you come into the middle here. You're the smallest. And, Mr. Doctor,
Thank you.
Please meet you. By the way, sorry, Robert Graham.
Everyone calls me John. Hawkins. Dr. Hawkins, but everyone calls me John.
Pleased to meet you, John.
Yes.
Jane Graham, I was a nurse in the war. Perhaps I can be of some assistance to the patient?
That might be fantastic. Absolutely.
He's a trained doctor.
No, of course. I have nothing but respect for the work that the nursing corps did, and I'd be very happy to have you at my side.
Thank you. Those are very kind words, aren't they?
No. Yes. Don't tell me about that.
Why don't we head on quickly to the destination?
Where are we headed to? We're just across to the Rose and Crown. And this, yes, exactly. And you see Stanley's eyes kind of widen as he and begins
Never allowed to go.
the car continues straight along as you drive. You take a detour, turning right and heading away from where you know Stanley's estate is, and off towards the Rose and Crown. So you are going through these rolling fields, and the car's rumbling along reasonably well as you sort of weave and duck through the hills. Eventually you see one slightly more prominent hill, and it's pretty flat countryside all around you. You know, there's those stone walls and like big fields with like you would spot the occasional animal or the occasional silhouettes of animals. It's pretty dark. so you don't have a good view. But yeah, you'll occasionally see bits and pieces. And as you come up, you sort of drive around the sides of this hill and go up this long driveway to a very, very nice kind of almost idyllic English countryside pub. This is the kind of place that would be featured on every single travel guide to really try to get people to come. It's a large building, probably 3 stories with like beautiful hanging greenery all around it, and like a nice charming fence. You can see a detached house and a barn out the back. It's really lovely. And you arrive and the car pulls up. And as soon as you arrive, you spot someone running towards you, and it appears to be a young woman, and she's got her dress kind of pulled up around her, bunched up around her knees so that she can move quicker. She gets right to the edge of the car, and she says, "Oh my God, thank you! I'm so glad you're here, Doctor. Please, Frank's upstairs. We carried him upstairs, but he's terribly hurt." And the doctor says, "Don't worry, we'll attend to him right away. Why don't you come with me?"
At once.
All right, and the two of you bustle off and head up, start heading towards the house. The woman appears to be quite distressed. You can see she has lines of sort of tears down her face, and as the doctor, as John is walking aside, he kind of leans into the two of you, and Stanley, who is kind of playing with the car, trying to get it to settle down without permanently settling down, says, make sure she's all right and not too stressed.
What has happened?
I wouldn't have a clue. So you're talking to her, or you're talking to
the
John?
gentleman?
To Johnny. I got an urgent call saying that there had been an injury. I know nothing more than that.
Okay, very well. I'll leave her in the Reverend and I's capable hands.
Yes.
Fantastic. So the two of you bustle off upstairs. We'll come back to your story in a minute. Now, Stanley's going to be dealing with the car for a little bit, but you are basically here with Maggie, who sort of says, I'm terribly sorry, come inside out of the cold. And she'll lead you through the dressing room into the bottom of this pub, and there's an area where everyone would sit normally, and you can see a couple of, various like hallways, a basement which looks like it's sort of a service area where wine would be stored. But she takes you to sort of the side where there's a couple of armchairs, and she sits down, and she's shaking slightly as if she's all cried out. Essentially, she looks quite upset. But doesn't appear to be responsive beyond that. Do you want to ask her anything, or are you?
So we don't know what's happening.
You don't, but she seems perfectly lucid. You could ask her for clarification. Or you could be trying to sort of like, it's okay, let's talk about the weather, let's talk about something else.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit down next to her, kind of at a reasonable distance, and do you wish to talk about it at all?
Oh yes, of
course. Can I get you anything?
I'm sorry, I've been terribly rude. Would you mind just behind the bar there's a kettle. Would you mind perhaps brewing us all some tea?
Yes.
I'll do it.
You pop up and you head over and you start to make tea, and sort of bunches her arms together and takes a few breaths to steady herself and says, I'm sorry, I you must be totally mystified, and I'm quite sorry to have diverted you from wherever it is you were going, but my husband, you see, took a nasty fall down the stairs and cracked his head, and gosh, there was blood everywhere. I'm very worried that he wasn't responding, and it looked really terrible.
Well, he's in capable hands now.
Absolutely. Speaking of which, you arrive upstairs, kind of walk into this bedroom area up on the second floor, and you walk into, it's very nice, a well-contended bed, there's nice sheets, there's some flowers on a dresser, and as you walk in, you can see an older man, probably in his 60s, sprawled out on the bed. He's sort of been not dumped, but sort of like placed there, and obviously he didn't get in himself. And there is just this puddle of dried blood that is spread across all the pillows, and he is lying completely unresponsive, with his eyes kind of glazed over, and taking only very short, shallow breaths. The doctor gets close and says, I see. Let's get started. Can I get you to make a medicine test for me?
I would love to. But I will not,
Whoa.
All right.
unless I may push it.
No, that is okay. You actually have the doctor assisting you here, so you can roll with advantage.
I love that. As soon as I find another die, I will do just that. That's
Please
right.
do.
You don't want it? Okay.
Well, you should keep yours.
That's fine.
There we go. Much better. Success 2. in
Okay,
fact.
excellent. So you lean forward and you begin to try and treat this man as best as you can. You
Is he
look over.
still bleeding?
So okay. So first of all, it is obvious he has suffered severe blood trauma to the back of the head. He's very much still bleeding to answer you, but there is like so much blood that is coming out that he is, he's beginning to bleed to death. And there's sort of matted, dried blood. This is a very serious injury. His skull is broken. There appears to be pretty significant damage to his brain. You have seen, you attended in the First World War, so I'm not going to ask you to make a sanity check here because you have experience with this kind of thing. But you are thinking this man is going to die. It's only a matter of time. He maybe has another 10 to 12 hours before he passes away. Now, with success 2, I'm going to give you another piece of information, right? This is the kind of wound that you would have expected to see from hand-to-hand combat in the trenches. So it looks like he has been struck. You would think with the butt of a rifle or something like that. This is the kind of thing you would have expected to see there. It looks like someone has really hit this man hard. There's also doesn't appear to be, and then part of that is that as well as the shape of the strike itself, doesn't appear to be any other damage done to him. He doesn't have broken bones or scratches on him, just a single impact wound to the back of his head.
See,
the doctor kind of comes to this conclusion as well and says,
does he concur?
Yes. Well, he can't concur until you suggest a theory.
Oh, of course. I concur. Doctor, this hardly seems like a tumble down the stairs.
Yes, I that's what I heard happened over the phone, but I'm not entirely... This is rather concerning. I think I might veil myself with the telephone here and alert the police. Perhaps make sure that, make sure everyone's quite all right and safe, won't you?
Yeah, yes.
Very good.
Perhaps I can find out from the wife exactly what was happening beforehand.
Certainly, please. If you anything you find that could help or potentially help the police and assist with their investigation, yes, let's do our best to assist here. And he bustles off.
Okay. I do my best not to traipse downstairs giddily.
It's very exciting for you.
Oh yes,
absolutely.
A murder on Christmas Eve,
like in the novels.
This is brilliant. Okay. Perfect. So you head downstairs and you rejoin these crew just as tea is being served. Maggie is going to see you and say,
Her name is Maggie.
Her name is Maggie, yes, sir. Her name is Maggie Jones, and Frank Jones is the name of the injured man. Maggie is going to see you, and she doesn't stand up, and she says, is he all right? Is he quite okay?
Well, I'm afraid we'll have to see how he pulls through the night.
Oh my, and she kind of sits down and sips at her tea, and it's clearly too hot, but she just wants something to do, so she's sipping at it.
But he is stable?
He is stable in a sense, yes. He's not getting any worse. We've bandaged his wounds.
Oh, thank you, yes. Can you make a fast talk or a persuade?
Straight up lying.
Not lying as so much as...
manipulating the truth.
Lying. Would charm help?
Charm would be pretty good. It's kind of easy. Just
very good.
So happy. And
I would love to. Success 2. Unless a success 3 would help.
No, that's quite alright. A success 2 will be perfectly enough. And she seems to be quite relaxed. She says, I was just as terrible. I'm so relieved that things seem to be that he's stable at the very least. I was in the parlor, you see, and I heard this terrible crashing, this horrible noise. I rushed down to the basement and I found him lying at the bottom of the steps. He must have fallen. There was so much blood. And I called for Clive, and he came running a moment later, and we managed to move him upstairs, and then we called the doctor right away.
Clive is your employee?
Yes, sorry, he's our gardener. He's around...
the gardener.
Yes, tending outside.
I see. There was no chance he was inside? I just wonder what might have caused the accident.
Oh, no, Clive was outside working. I called him, and there was no answer for a time, and then he came running in through the side door.
And you don't think there was anyone else in the building? Someone who may have distracted him?
No. It's just myself and Clive and Frank. It's just the three of us.
Drink your tea, dear, and let's...
Yeah,
concern the poor. If the man's fine, then Have a moment or
I
two of
want-
rest.
Quietly, though, is something afoot? You seem to be questioning the lady as if something.
Yeah. As it happens, something may be afoot.
I love it. Something maybe afoot.
Maybe afoot, yes.
Enough of your riddles.
What do you call a barber?
No, please.
His,
Please
injury,
God.
his injuries are more consistent with a blow to the back of the head than a tumble down the stairs.
Oh, he did fall down the stairs. Perhaps he bumped his head on the way down.
No, it would seem he was more deliberately struck, and the doctor did concur.
Well, doctor has concurred, then
we
you
just.
know what they say about doctors and theories, and I shoot a sly glance to the woman drinking her tea, who appears so innocent, as we may be have a murderer in our midst.
Oh, stop!
Like the novel. We were sharing it on the train, back and forth, back and forth.
Every time one of you finishes a page, like, done. Done. Hurry up, I'm hiding.
Marika, come now. It isn't godly to
No.
speculate. However,
Please, Reverend, please, you have the floor.
she said there's only herself, her husband, and the gardener.
Gardener.
Perhaps we should look to see the basement.
Yes, best. The woman is worried and the man is in danger. It is only right that we have a little poke around.
If it would mean soothing this woman
yes.
and determining
Yes.
the source of the mystery, then yes, of course, let's go.
Oh, and indeed,
She sort of bustled away and seems to be calm, and the doctor has come down and is talking to her now. And the three of you begin to walk away, and the doctor will take a quick glance to you and give like a nod, professional. You're clearly going about business, and that's good. And we'll continue to try and console Maggie. And the three of you walk out through to the back of the pub, and you can't help but stop to admire a couple of large kegs and boxes of wine and stuff like that.
Is there any mulled wine about?
They would
Tis
be
the
actually.
season.
Tis the season indeed. What they would be is there would be a couple of large crates of liquor, and it looks like someone was halfway through moving them all down into the basement. Most notably, there is a large box of. Rachel, what's a cool... Actually, I've already asked you about cool liquor before. Jackson.
Oh, no.
What's a cool liquor or a cool drink or a cool something?
Oh, you're asking the wrong person. It is, of course, French port.
Oh, French port. The French kind.
Yeah.
It's foreign.
The only fans drinking liquor was port, and
Yeah.
I thought
And we made it
French
French.
makes some fancy. Am I wrong?
I prefer English port.
Oh.
Is that a thing that's real?
English port is a thing. Anyway.
The good king and country
So you-
port.
I'm carting my little tea cup along as we go along.
Yep. Okay, now you see these stairs.
Holmes has his pipe.
And I
Have your tea, it seems.
I love it. OTP.
My man is dead. Can you imagine that?
So there's a the basement here actually has an electric light. It's quite bright. It's a pleasant business, and it's quite a nice establishment. And as you walk down the stairs into the basement, you can see they have been worn down by what must be, some of these pubs are centuries old, and this stairs down to the basement must have been used thousands of times, to the point where there has been like boot prints eroded in the stone steps going down, making it incredibly difficult to slip. These stairs are like worn in, and there's like an index
curious.
in each of them. Now you get down to the bottom, and you can see right at the bottom of the stairs there is a very large pool of blood. Apart from that, it's also quite cold down here. It's really below ground, and you can feel like some wind blustering from an open window.
Is the blood dried by now? It's been enough time.
Yes, some of it would have dried by now. It was quite a lot of it, but yeah, most of it is dried up on the ground. Yes.
A lot of it.
I put my cup back on the saucer. And I'm gonna fumble for the light switch, and he's going like, my hand shakes a little bit as I go for it, mainly because it's heavy. I want to pull once I want to illuminate the lower area.
Absolutely. So light comes out. You can now see everything quite a bit better. It's a packed cellar. It's filled with kegs of all this kind of stuff. It's very large, one of those kind of rural community basements that just sort of extend forever. You can actually see a second set of stairs that go further down to a secondary basement. And you can see that there's lots of supplies for the pub that are here. There's also the source of the coal, as you can see, a small window that is sort of open. It would be at ground level. And there's sort of a wind and snow blowing in and creating a little pool around in the ground.
So there's no sign of any other disturbance, like there's something broken?
Make a spot hidden test.
Ooh, success 2.
Excellent. So you sort of have a look. There's nothing broken. There's nothing broken at all, actually. In fact, you can see that whoever was, well, you know, presumably when Frank was moving around, he had placed something, a box of booze, and he had turned around, he'd walked back towards the stairs, and then something had happened. But you also see that there is a trail of little droplets of blood that go straight over to the window.
I was going to check the window as
Okay,
well for
excellent.
signs of egress.
Right. Well, I'm not going to make you roll anything because you thought exactly that. Following the droplets of blood, you can see that it appears that there's scuffles in the dirt outside and the snow has been disturbed. Looks like someone has scrambled out through the window.
Someone could get through this window? It's not too...
Absolutely. In fact, it looks like somebody has. So there's there's a disturbance here. Well, there has been a disturbance here.
I'm going to fetch my little journal out. I'm going to begin jotting down notes.
You know
it's a good story.
His pen is well chewed and well used. It will absolutely be in
I do a bit of like...
Looks like you're in need of a new pen, my man.
I just got plenty of ink and...
Oh, yeah, I'm sure Providence will deliver you what you need. I'm just like, God is with us all.
Yes, and bestow a pen.
So, what would you like to do? You can see that it looks like someone has scrambled through this window.
Perhaps we should resume following the tracks outside to see if they...
Is it snowing?
It is cold outside.
It is just beginning to snow, yes.
Yes, and we should hurry lest the footprints be covered.
You head outside, up the stairs. You cross briefly by Stanley, who's coming inside. He's got his hands covered in grease and like a smudge of like soot or motor oil on his face, and he looks completely, he's beaming, and he's like, I fixed it! And he kind of like waddles in and says, as if this is the greatest thing that's ever happened. And then he sees the distraught woman, and his face kind of falls.
Uncle, I'm sure you won't mind if we tarry a little longer, but poor Maggie wouldn't want to be on her own on Christmas Eve.
Oh no, of course. I quite think I could use a. Best not disturb her. And he takes one of the bottles of like wine and sort of opens it up. He's tired and wants a drink.
Uncle.
Yes.
Where were you before you joined us this morning?
This morning.
This evening.
Working at my house. Quite amazing discoveries.
Uncle. I'm asking the question too. Tell me, did anyone observe you in your home?
Observe me? Well, my caretaker.
The name?
Was there. I don't know. My caretaker. Were you maybe Mrs. Reynolds?
Yes, Mrs. Reynolds, and she'll vouch for you.
I should dearly hope so.
Good. Very good. It's the last one you expect, isn't it? It's the last one you expect. All right, very good. You may proceed, Stanley.
Very good. He kind of snaps up a salute very quickly. Walks off, leaving the collection of you.
We're looking for the window outside.
You stroll outside, you turn left. This light snow is beginning to fall again. It's really cold. It's getting colder and colder. You head round to the side of the building, and now that you know what you're looking for tracks. You can see as someone has absolutely climbed out of this little window and is headed around to the back of the house near where the barn is. You follow it along, and you can see that there is it heads into the back of the barn itself. Outside the barn, you can see that there is a man smoking a cigarette, and he's kind of leaning against the wall. Looks like he was in the process of shoveling snow. Which is, does anyone have natural world?
Give me a second.
Nay.
No.
No.
No, okay. Never mind then.
Gather round. All right, listener. All right, we need a good policeman and a bad policeman. Who will fill the roles in this year's Christmas play?
I think I am naturally inclined to be the good policeman, yes.
Tell me, darling. Bad policeman?
Oh, well.
No, I'll record and catch your script.
Okay, so we wave down the. So
Alright,
is he just on his own? It's just,
Yes, there's a man, Cyril. You wave towards him. He kind of looks towards you, finishes smoking his cigarette, and he walks over and kind of nods and says, "What?"
Mr. Clive, I presume?
Yeah, Clive.
You
Clive.
wretched thing!
I'm sorry.
do excuse my friend. Right, do excuse my friend. We've had an arduous journey. We are merely on edge. I'm sure you heard of what happened to the poor man inside.
Yeah, bad business that.
Yes, it's utterly terrible.
Yeah,
Now,
fall
did you?
down the stairs? Yeah.
Yes. Well, did you see anyone come by
we
this way?
didn't say he fell down the stairs, did we?
No, I
You betray yourself, sir.
carried him out of the basement.
Ah.
I thought it was a very virtuous thing to do.
Yeah.
We should not be too harsh on Clive.
I'm sorry. Is your friend, this fine lady, implying that I had something to do with the accident?
No, of course not. No, of course not.
Of course not.
He looks, continues to drag from his cigarette. And now, let me interrupt things to say, Jackson, could you please possibly pass me the charger for the device that I'm using to read
the devil!
Which one?
It should be...
Oh, that one.
Oh, it got unplugged.
It got unplugged?
That's right, here it is.
Please hold. We'll be back with you shortly. Thank
There
you.
you go. There's that.
I'll re-plug it in. Also, while this is happening, can I make a psychology roll at some point? I want to be keeping myself appraised.
Absolutely. First of all, you make a psychology check, and you can do it with advantage because you are all here and you are
You're
all
plugged
trying to. Thank you.
Swang.
You're all in and you are all trying to figure out exactly what's happening.
The devil. Success 3, Jack.
Oh, well
Oh
done.
wow.
Okay. And all right, so you are looking at this guy, and he is sweating. You realize that he has. Yeah, exactly. You realize that he has been shoveling snow. And this is what I would have given you with a natural world, but with your psychology, you kind of realize that it's snowing. He should not be shoveling snow. This makes patently zero sense
just started
whatsoever.
snowing.
Exactly, he should be
Well,
waiting.
well,
If
I
he's
need
doing dud work. He also is like tense. He's like picking at his nails. He speaks very openly, like aggressively almost. There's a hint of anger when he talks about Frank. And he is horrified at the thought that you might be potentially implying that he has done something.
I'm merely going to egg my co-investigators on.
Yeah.
Well, no, if no one is suggesting anything, Mr.
Hook. Clive Hook.
Hook. Pleasure to meet you. Did you see anyone come by here recently? Through the snow, for example?
No, I didn't see anyone. I was working.
Oh, well, what do you keep yourself occupied with this evening?
I've just been shoveling snow. You see? He gestures at all the stuff.
Yes. The snow. As it falls. You find it best to shovel.
He looks at now. This is of course such an insane put that you've thrown him off, and he started. Listen, you old bat. I don't care what you think about my work.
Watch your mouth. It's my wife.
I've got work to do. All right. And he grabs his shovel and he storms off. You sort of around the back of the barn, and you can hear him sort of get around. You can hear him breathing heavily. He looks pretty tense.
The man betrays himself.
Can I see if I can spot anything like obvious signs of having been in a scuffle of some kind, or you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Well, the tracks lead directly into the barn.
right.
So you think it might be in the barn. He's just headed around the back, so you absolutely can. You
Oh,
head
you
to
know
the
what?
barn.
Let's hurry to the barn.
You step inside and you open the door and you have a look around. It's full of equipment. Then the tracks lead right over to a pile of coal in the back, which would be used for fires and such, or to stuff in the stockings of naughty children. Now, can I get you, if you're all searching this barn, I presume?
Yes.
Can I get you all to make a spot hidden?
Oh, I failed. Lol.
Ooh.
Nah.
Success
Unless you're.
one.
Oh, right,
Success.
really?
Very good at it.
How high is your spot hidden?
I'm a journalist.
With it, so here's so with the success one, you begin to look through and you can't really find anything of note, but you realize that the stuff here hasn't been like used all day. Basically, whatever lie he spun about having worked all day, it is not true. But you have success too. You're sort of walking through, your eyes are passing over the tools and you don't particularly care about looking through them. You look towards the coal and you sort of spot the footprints seem to go right over it. And you lean down and you brush a hand through it and brush away some coal, and you can see that there is a large claw hammer sitting there, still with bits of hair and blood caked onto
in
it.
the coal?
Hidden in the coal.
What is a claw hammer?
Krampus himself.
A claw hammer is it's essentially a normal
It's a
hammer with
banjo
different
technique.
shape.
I know that.
Oh really?
It is.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
claw hammer banjo.
It is a hammer with a different shape. It's
Okay.
to make it look more vicious and more dramatic, having been used in a
Excellent choice.
in a murder.
Very good.
So you spot this, and you also spot peeking through the window a set of eyes. He's peeking in to see if you found it, and you lock eyes with him, and you see him terrified of the bad cop that is found, and you see him begin to forge off through the snow as quickly as he can, moving
ran after
away.
him.
Yes.
Are these two older than you? How old are you two?
28.
Well,
Oh shit, are we? I thought we were like 50s.
you're,
Okay, yeah,
you're
we're
a little older. You're a little older.
How old are you? This is key information.
33.
Oh, I was,
Ancient.
I was going to run off as the younger of the
How old are you?
three,
How old
but
are
I'm
you?
45.
Oh!
Steady now, old man.
You are missing a leg, and we're
Oh, yeah.
That's
you've aged.
true.
I will
horrors
try.
of you.
Before everyone can run after him, of course, they need to be alerted with your best cool line or impression of, stop that man, or whatever you would like to say.
Oh no! I stammer a bit. I glance to Robert for inspiration.
Oh shit, I didn't think this was going to me. You're just holding the hammer, we're all part here.
Stop!
You all sort of just stutter and then bluster out the door.
We'll work on it later. You get him, I'm writing.
And suddenly you're tearing outside and you're beginning to run through as quickly as you can up this man. The snow is getting sort of heavy and you're forging through. You're moving quicker and quicker as he gets away, and he seems to be making way towards the front of the house, and he's so quick. And then the side door opens. Oh, fantastic! The side door opens because Pastor Muncher, a patron of the bar, just happened to be walking through at that exact time.
He invokes Cthulhu, so let's leave that alone.
Okay. Oh dear. Let's be a little careful there.
Yeah.
The door opens and he crashes right to stand.
Got it. There's been a ham murder.
Oh yes.
Use that.
Yes. Quite right. Well,
That's pretty good.
put it in parentheses.
Make it
You
clear.
youngsters and your mum.
You managed Reverend. Sorry, the murder.
So he crashes directly into Stanley. And you run after him, pointing, over there. And
Murderer!
within a couple of moments, he's been soundly trounced up and led through to the back.
Oh, fantastic.
And
He's been caught?
yes, he gets caught very
Oh,
easily.
we've
He crashes
triumphed.
straight in, and the police arrive only soon after, and you are able to hand him over, crestfallen, to the police, and they say we'll take him inside and do some investigations and all of that, and you're led outside. You have somewhere to be, and this is now a crime scene. But before you go, the police will take you outside and thank all of you to your service to the Shire of Burford, and shake all of your hands individually and say you're good, upstanding citizens, and wish you a very Merry Christmas.
Jim, did we win the scenario?
Oh, absolutely. That's the end.
Oh, this is really nice.
Oh,
Excellent.
I get each of their names for my story.
exactly. So you're having a great time.
Now
Of
we
course,
epilogue. I'd probably go back home, I think. and I
Yeah,
might
at
start
the
to-
epilogue?
I start
Well-
a bar myself. By this, and eventually my wife kills me in my murder novels.
well,
Frames the butler.
absolutely.
Oh, no one's done that yet, have they? Yeah.
No, we're in 1924. We're at the
Of course.
end of the curve. Oh, sorry.
You had a
I go insane. I never got to give away my virus.
well. You actually, what happened, of course, is that you go and you continue to leave, but of course, it's Call of Cthulhu, and a catch of a bumbling criminal is hardly what you have to do. It's much more serious because as you leave and you drive away, you were an excellent bad cop, and I think you were instrumental in the capture of all of this man. So as everyone's driving away, the car is peeling off. You look back towards the pub one last time, and you see a ghostly blue figure standing at the top window, looking at you as you leave. This
What?
figure is wearing full legionnaire's armor of a Roman centurion, helmet, full thing, watches you as you go, crossing their arms, and their eyes drill into yours, and you can roll a sanity test for me. As the car bumbles along and you make your way towards Chrissy dinner.
As we're recounting our story to Stanley, we're going, and then we chase the man.
All good.
All good, just a point of sanity damage then.
Oh, okay. Wow, rude.
Now, the car continues
That'll
along.
be about 20.
You weave through the rolling hills, and after about 45 minutes, because you really have to go a while in the wrong direction, the car finally pulls into Thorington House, which is the name of Stanley's estate.
Good name.
It is a very good name, isn't it? You head through and you come forward, and it is just this beautiful affair. You drive the car up, you park it, and you head inside up this large open staircase into like a palatial sort of manor. It's very clean. There's bookshelves everywhere. The military relics, which have been moved out of Stanley's study, have been spread throughout the rest of the house, and you can see portraits and hunting trophies, and it's really a beautiful place. And you're led through into a sitting room where a older woman with her hair pulled back in a tight bun and fearsome eyes is standing waiting for all of you, and she goes, good to see you all again. Oh, I haven't seen you since you were a little one, and reaches forward and pinches your cheek a little too hard. And then she turns towards Stanley and says, why were you late? Stanley kind of, well, we were simply to stop. It looks sort of towards you, all for support. Is any forthcoming? Are you going to try and dig him out of this hole?
No, I've shrunk backwards. I'm
No,
hiding behind my wife.
As it happens, we got caught up in a bit of Christmas drama at the public house.
Well, you're late because you visited a public house, Stanley. And she turns and says, oh, no. And then she spins and says, never mind. You'll simply have to eat a cold dinner. And she storms off. And Stanley kind of turns to you and shrugs, thanking you for trying. But it appears you have invoked the wrath of Mrs. Reynolds. And
This is what, Nana at this point?
This is...
My great aunt?
No, this is... Mrs. Reynolds is Stanley's housekeeper.
To get her.
This is the housekeeper. Of course, now there's always been rumours around your family that the two of them are actually totally enamored of each other, but for some reason or another have never wed.
Curious.
Anyway, you're led through and you stroll. Actually, Stanley is a very flamboyant man, if you hadn't gathered, and he's actually made it so to get through to his dining room where you're going to be eating, you have to walk through his study. And you walk through and it really is quite amazing. There are books everywhere. He's built his own little library that would rival the libraries of like significant institutions, specifically focused on the local history of the area. And there are all these like trinkets. There are tables laid out covered in pottery. And at the very, very back of the room, you can see that there is actually a table laid out with an entire human skeleton on it. And there is a gravestone next to it. And the gravestone appears to have sort of carvings in what would be very, very early Latin. You get a slight sense of unease as you see this, because you realize that next to the skeleton are old, rusty, and dusted Roman armor and Roman effects. Yes. As you walk in, Stanley is sort of gesturing around, saying, "This is what I've been up to, and this is what I was telling you all about. I've been working, putting this fine gentleman together. I believe he might have been well, you can see here," and he gestures towards the tombstone. It says, "Lucius Pontius Atellus, 3rd centurion of the Legio VI Vitrix, blessed by Mithras." I think that he was a Roman centurion who was stationed here by Caesar.
Well, this is quite the find.
Absolutely, yes.
Well put together. Have you intend to sell it or decorate your home?
Oh, good. I do believe, well, I couldn't sell it, I couldn't possibly part with it, and I have decided that I do really want to do something good with it, you know, and I've decided to donate it as such to a museum or something where it can be looked around, but I, for the life of me, I simply couldn't find anywhere that I felt was a high enough standard, so I was going to save this for dinner, but I'm very happy to announce that I will be opening a private gallery inside inside the grounds and inviting many
Quite
people
an
to come and see it.
accomplishment.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Haven't you done well? Good man.
Thank you, thank you. Oh, and you simply must see. I've several books on the tactics of the Roman army.
I
have to, absolutely.
I have to take a look after dinner.
Where was this fine man found? On
Well-
your estate?
Oh, now exactly on my estate. Now you're quite trained in history, aren't you, Vicar?
Yes.
Excellent. Now you are aware of Hadrian's Wall.
Oh, of course.
Of
course.
Absolutely. Now let me ask you. Although you may be aware of Hadrian's Wall, let me ask you if you are aware of the Antoine Wall. And you can make a history check to see if you are.
I am also trained in history.
You can also
By
make a
the by.
history check.
How'd you go?
I seem possibly. Would I have gone to college?
Yes, you would if you.
I think possibly we might have in one of our classes. His name may have come up. I'm trying to hide the fact.
Oh, absolutely.
fucking-
What about yourself?
Oh, okay.
Stanley doesn't seem to labour the point. He just seems very excited to be able to explain something. And he goes, well, now, so you see, when the Romans had conquered England, and they... No, quite some time ago, please.
We got it back, my good man.
Good.
Good English soil will never depart from our hands again, unless we decide to. Never mind.
Well,
I'm not gonna make that joke.
during the Roman occupation of England, the Hadrian's Wall was a large defensive fortification built across the north of England to defend England from the ravenous Picts, as they were called at the time. Of course, now. I know that our family shares some Scottish roots, so we would feel rather differently. But as it was, Hadrian's Wall was created, and several battles were fought. Hadrian's Wall was passed by various times by Scottish or Pict tribal groups, and the English and Roman forces would often extend further out as well. In one of these particular extensions into the region that we would now call Scotland, a number of forts were built. And a number of fortifications, if you will, a second Hadrian's Wall. And this was Antoine's Wall, which is completely in disrepair now, totally destroyed and put to rubble. But technically, these grounds extend far enough that they reach areas which at some point may have been Scottish territory. And they pass into the areas that are close to Antoine's Wall, where there are various fantastic archaeological discoveries to be found. And part of my reasons I want to open a gallery is because I believe that there was a fort stationed here somewhere in the area, and I believe it may be at the local church. But it's simply a marvelous opportunity for historical research.
That sounds very exciting and very fruitful, I imagine.
Well, thank you. Anyway, let us eat. We simply have taken some time. Is there anything you want to ask him before you sit down for dinner, or?
Not him.
Okay, fantastic. So everyone sort of sits down. You begin to eat. It's beautiful food. It's all been prepared by Miss Reynolds.
Reverend, what is the church's view on parading about the remains of the departed?
Oh, well, obviously we think it is most respectful to give people the proper burial and rites.
Are you saying this publicly at the table?
Yeah.
In which case,
I was going to say,
yes, please.
However, the church is a strong advocate for history and science, and I see no problem with examining this man who was not even a Christian.
Thank you, Reverend. My thoughts exactly. Worshipper of the god Mithras, I believe.
Yes, but even so, it could be the case that his soul is not put to rest. Is it not?
More gravy. Well, look, there's there's a thousand superstitions, frankly, that fly across the area. And I could say, for example, many of the areas that dot around this countryside were sacred to several of the Pict people who worshipped the Queen of Winter. And I'm sure they'd be quite furious that we're not dancing to try and allay their fears and feelings.
Yes. Well put.
Perhaps you would like some more of the salad, Miss Graham.
So there is an awkward sort of pause as the dinner continues along, and everyone's sort of avoiding trying to talk about the possible desecration of some bones. But dinner appears to sort of continue on fairly finely, unless anyone has anything else they say of particular note. Then you all find yourselves sitting back in the study where a number of armchairs have been brought in for cigars and wine and port and more wine towards the end of the evening, and you're sort of gazing out into the rising snow and the starlight and the woods that extend into the distance through one of these large sort of open windows as everyone begins to sort of sit and talk and chat and pratter. Now, of course, this is a Call of Cthulhu campaign.
Yeah.
What?
So nothing can stay all true and peachy and wonderful forever. So
I'm playing the wrong game.
Yeah.
as it's getting close to midnight, you're all starting to get a little bit tired, but you know this is a party and you're debating whether you're going to have a really big night and stay up into the wee hours of the morning, when all of a sudden you spot a light moving through the trees outside. Everyone sort of peeks towards it. You spot another light, and then another one, and then another one. More and more of them moving forward.
Tell me, Stanley, were you expecting more guests?
Tomorrow morning, but nothing today.
Do they look like car lights?
Like
They're
lanterns?
too low, too many, and they appear to be blue, sort of a bright, piercing blue.
Same blue.
The same blue.
The very same.
And as this happens, the lights come out of the woods and marching towards you in full regimented order is a platoon of Roman soldiers, ghostly, drifting. It's like a vision straight out of some kind of madness. And all of you see this, and all of you leap to your feet, and all of you make a sanity test.
We
boy.
are smashed.
Approaching, make a constitution test as well. Let's see how everyone's going.
Con check. Failed.
All right.
Sanity check. Failed.
Okay. 1d4.
Oh, I passed sanity, but con also passed. I'm totally fine.
So, con. Oh, 0 and 9. I handle it like a
Okay,
champ.
yeah, you absolutely.
Which
You're
is
several
not
in
what I
and you're
wanted.
completely.
And sanity, fail.
Okay. 1d4 on a failure for sanity.
I'm drunk and scared.
Yes. Now everyone sort of leaps up, and you see this platoon of ghostly soldiers approaching you. They're heading straight for the window and sort of walking. They're marching. They'll have weapons in hands and shields and everything, and they're sort of drifting about. And they're heading straight forward. Stanley leaps up and kind of and appears to be sweating and tries to stutter out something, and then falls down behind his chair.
Oh my god, okay.
I'm gone.
His housekeeper leaps onto him and starts kind of holding his shoulder as he struggles to catch his breath.
I render medical assistance.
Okay, make a first aid test.
I would also like to try that if I can assist.
Okay, make the test with advantage.
I'm taking my glasses off. I'm putting them back on. I'm peering out at them to confirm what I've said.
Okay, make a spot hidden test.
Regular success in first aid.
Okay, he is having a minor heart attack, but he is catching his breath. He's going to be okay.
Okay.
Fail.
He'll be fine in a few minutes. Look, I saw one of these as we were leaving the pub. I'm quite sure it was looking after us. They've come back for their comrade. If we should just present the bones and hope they go away.
Now, as this is happening, couple of things. How'd you go on your spot hidden check? No? Okay. So you're completely taken. You're all sort of watching these soldiers. They get to the window. They're close enough to reach out and touch it. And the sort of frost on the windowsill is distorting them. And they about turn, and they kneel down, and more of them begin to come out of the woods, and they start forming a defensive perimeter around the house.
Defending.
As if they were like stationaries, like stationed to defend
To
the house.
defend the
house.
house.
Yes. Yes, they're facing outwards. They have their backs turned to you, and they're like spear walling outside towards the
Well,
woods.
that's not so bad.
Tell me, Reverend, normally when this happens, do these get charged?
Wait, what?
Do they charge these? Are we on the... Charge.
An enemy. Are we about to be charged?
Well, they're protecting us, right?
You could make an education test based on you were a soldier, based on your military knowledge.
Twang.
These are merely visions. We've had too much to drink.
Fail. Yeah, you have no idea. You fought with guns.
Cast out your aspersions towards witchcraft. We all should just head to bed. Whatever,
You are
Reverend.
desperately trying to sort of put this, and indeed you do, and you turn, you begin to stroll towards the bedroom, and as you all turn, you turn to get back to the main hall. Of course, you'll be turning through and heading through the study, and you see next to the pile of bones, there is in much darker relief a vision of a man, short with dark hair, Mediterranean features, a red tunic, and sort of simple clothes, and he's touching out the gravestone and he's looking at the bones, and you are convinced that this is the man that is there.
Is it the same one I saw in the pub?
He is not the same one you saw in the pub.
I saw another one.
You saw another one, yes, and he is standing there and he is looking, and as you turn, he looks up towards the collection of you, and his eyes dart between each of you individually.
Mr. Vigilus, I presume.
He
Jane Graham.
He would only speak Latin, which
who speaks
I
Latin?
fucking speak. Apparently.
Excellent.
I also speak a tad.
I speak.
All right.
I got 50.
He seems to react to his name, and he sort of jerks his head slightly. You hold out your hand, and he seems to know what's going on, but he's cautious. And he'll take your hand and kind of hold it for a second, and you feel like? Well, what does it feel like? Why don't you describe it?
Like the frost in a window pane.
Excellent. So that's cold, sort of beautiful.
Can I attempt to speak to him in Latin?
Yes, you absolutely can.
Okay.
Make a Latin check for me. You'll still be able to speak to him because you speak some Latin.
I'm going.
Oh, I failed.
Good.
I failed.
So you know a couple of lines, and you
Oh.
begin to speak Latin as best you can, and he kind of looks.
Invictus.
Yeah, he looks towards you and kind of
Sic Semper.
opens his mouth and
Tyrannus.
he talks back. And unfortunately, this is just a case of he is speaking what would be called vulgar Latin, the Latin of the streets, and you are speaking the equivalent of like high class equestrian Latin that has also evolved over hundreds of years. There's a lot of he kind of yeah, absolutely. So he leans in and kind of seems to get a little bit of it. And speaks back to you, but you're only able to get like a couple of words in between.
Right.
Can I make a roll? I got 21.
Yeah, absolutely, you can make a roll.
It's always a chance I learned street Latin. I didn't.
You didn't.
I mean, but you get a couple of words in too.
I
Not straight enough.
Deus Ex
You can get like a word or two and sort of recognize he's
Human Revolutions or whatever.
mankind divided.
Whatever.
Oh, whatever.
Leave it alone. Ghosts don't know games. 924. That didn't even come out yet.
Yeah, the first one has.
Yes. Just fucking 2 hasn't come out yet. It's 924.
And he's kind of looking. You can get a word or two into what
Spirit.
and he kind of nods a few times. Ghosts.
Can I kind of be like bones? You bones like others use.
Yeah, he point gestures at the tombstone and his name on the tombstone and to himself.
And
Christmas.
no.
Holy. What are you trying to teach us?
Maybe he met Jesus. Sorry.
No.
I'm really excited now.
Kind of leans back, looking. He's looking out towards the men now that are stationed, and he seems to be very happy. And he starts to kind of look around. He looks towards you and motion kind of like weapon, like he wants a sword or a spear or a...
Take your pick. I'll gesture to the. I mean, the
Do we really
Stanley
wanna arm
has
this guy?
weapons. The man has not struck us.
He kind of looks around, and there are things sort
Like
of
a
stationed
musket?
everywhere. He takes
That's a
what is a
cannon.
very old gun, but it has a bayonet on the end, and he seems to be very interested in the bayonet part and not particular or anything else. And kind of looks towards it. And he walks back, and he sort of starts kind of trying to get words out to you again. He'll say, "Run."
What?
Judgment Day.
What? Run. Judgment Day.
And kind of leans back to their time.
Terminator 2.
Ice monster.
You know the Latin for ice monster, you guys?
It was about ready to book.
Ice. No, I can't.
Isis
I can't make that
Monstorium.
joke without saying something slightly vulgar. But
Anyway, moving on.
clearly, this is the Bible says.
Monstrum glacius.
Monstrum
Monstrum
glacius, man.
glacius.
Yeah, didn't you learn that in first year Latin?
Yeah, it's basic stuff, man.
Hello, my name is John. I live in.
Run.
Beware
There's an
the
ice
ice
monster
monster.
coming.
Well, clearly, this is a false idol. The Bible says when the second coming of Christ is upon us, that false idols will appear.
I'd rather think I'm seeing clearly, and I think, regardless of their intent, the band seems to want to help.
Their intent is surely honourable. These noble savages wish to protect us from whatever stalks the night.
It's fine. It's 1926.
Yes, dear.
That's what
Yes,
I'm for.
yes dear. They do seem to be taking up defensive perimeters.
He's heading out to the window now, and he starts to sort of he manages to unlatch it after a couple of tries and sort of reaches.
So he's like physical.
Yeah, he's physical. He's able to move things, and he picks up the weapon and he unlatches the window, and he steps through. And as he goes close to the other soldiers, they appear to take a more corporeal form as well. And they're all sort of forming up, and they're forming up defensive perimeters. And he begins to march, and you can hear him yelling in Latin. The other ones, their voices are very faint, but you begin to hear them sort of cheering and roaring in approval and stuff like that.
Should we take up arms also?
Well, we're not fighters. I mean,
Well, I did my part. I know my way around a bloody rifle.
There's plenty. Yeah, there would be
Yes.
weaponry.
well, I know from my time in the war that all that a good soldier needs for morale is the word of the Lord, and I.
Yeah, I'll take a rifle.
You walk over, and there's a twin rifle sort of put up in a cross, and you each take one.
I mean, my.
Oh, quick, Stanley! You've still got that newfangled camera, don't you?
Stanley at this point has managed to sort of get up.
Up you get, Stanley.
I do believe I have disturbed the bones of the dead, and I may be cursed forever. Reverend, you wouldn't possibly, you couldn't possibly bring me absolution, could you?
Oh, of course, any man who asks for forgiveness will be given it, but I feel like we should deal with the ice monster first.
Yes.
Yes, hush now, Stanley.
Very good.
Pop into your armchair and
He kind of leans back and sort of fumbles at one of the books. He picks it up, opens it. It's like a history of like the Roman Legion in England, because that's what his library's all about. And you go, oh, puts it down.
Oh, Stanley! Know you of my ice monsters?
What?
Ice monsters, particular adversaries of the Romans?
Monstrum glacius.
Yeah.
Is there anything in their pagan celebrations?
I'm afraid I don't know, but you're welcome to use any avail yourselves of these books if that will help.
Can you make an occult roll? You may know off the top of your head.
Yep, so let me check what my occult is. Oh, it's actually not so bad.
My library use is pretty good, actually.
Hey, ooh, how much luck do I have? I got enough. I'm gonna burn 4 luck. 1 luck. Yeah, that's gonna be a success.
Okay, fantastic. You would. So with this success, you kind of think back and you think into pagan beliefs.
Wait, why do I know occult?
You studied theology. You absolutely would. You would.
Oh, and I dabbled in the.
You would have looked into early Christian history and
That's
stuff like that, and
true.
pagan sort of roots, and that is just exactly what
Well, you
this
need
is.
to understand the pagans in order to convert them.
Oh, absolutely.
And the other race religions, which I'm not going to say out loud.
Oh dear. You would be familiar with. You would be familiar with
1926.
the links that certain Pict tribes and Celtic tribes in this region worshipped a character called the Queen of Winter, and I'm going to butcher the Gaelic name, which is Caliach Burr.
Caliach Burr.
Yes,
What
the
does
Queen
you
of
spell
Winter.
Caliach.
Caileach space Bheur.
So, Cail.
Caileach.
EACH.
Yep.
Caliach.
Bheur.
Yeah. Afraid I would not know how to pronounce that for the life of me. If you have any better luck than I.
Burr.
This spirit? fairy demon.
You would know. So the knowledge that you have is that she's the queen of winter, the queen of cold and the seasons, and specifically, she is able to use fairies and ice monsters of cold that come about and that were terrifying and that will eat people and that carry blizzards with them.
For some unknown reason, Google Translate does not have voice support for Scots Gaelic.
Oh well,
Really?
it is a rather
It's a bit niche.
obscure.
I like them better.
Nor Irish, so I don't
Well-
think we're gonna.
Yes, I mean it's the ice you can deploy your ice monsters, but of course it's just
What?
it is mere superstition that it was replaced thousands of years ago by the good word.
But tell me, Reverend, can the wind be slain? And I spin around with my gun. Look outside.
All right. So, as you are kind of looking outside, tearing about, aiming down with your gun, you don't see anything, so you kind of, this is. And as you put the gun up, all of a sudden, a great, enormous white gorilla is the best way that I can describe it. Comes tearing out of the trees and smashes into the lines, and you suddenly then two more of them join, and suddenly you are watching straight combat.
I'm mid being like, of course, it's just fairy
Hideous
tales.
lizards
The
begin to
children-
smash in, all the glass is broken, wind is whipping everything around you, and you can hear the cries of legionnaires as they are sort of not flying in charge
Is
and
the
attempt to...
is the man
Is our
Still
boy
here?
in there?
The centurion.
Yeah,
the
he's
centurion
next.
is there at the back, like yelling, and then at one point he gets close and he like manages to pierce one of them with a
Hell
spear
yeah.
and bring it to the ground. And you're kind of all shocked. This is pretty quick.
Yeah.
Are you firing? Do you do anything?
Yeah, I was
Right.
trained.
You managed to load and
Bang, man.
fire a shot, and at first it shocks the centurion, but then he looks back and sees what you're doing, and then like points to another one, and you're able to like adjust.
Magic.
This really isn't a terrifying battle that you're pitched in.
It's gorillas.
It's smaller.
It's quick, is what I mean.
Okay,
It takes maybe
right.
about 30 to 40 seconds. And as you sort of, a lot of that is you sort of getting up off the ground as the wind blowing that sort of smashes into the house comes. And then as you come out, you can see that there are storms in the distance. And they appear to be getting closer and closer, and the wind is whipping. The temperature has dropped to unseasonably cold, just colder than you have ever been in this kind of area. And the centurion comes back, and he's kind of trying to get his Latin out again. He's pointing to the creatures and he's saying, more, thousands,
What?
apocalypse.
Can we?
Sorry. And we'll take a quick break there. We will be back in
And that's our bad.
a few minutes, and we'll see if these few can avert the end of the world.
Yes, best.
happy and horrible holidays, everybody. Ah!
Happy and horrible.
Yeah, the two of them. You can have both. They're not mutually exclusive. Now, we are back. We are here. And when we last left off, our crew of slightly drunk English folks were just told by the ghost of a Roman centurion that thousands of ice monsters were coming to end the world because it was judged today. Yes, exactly. So, cutting back in, we'll jump right in because we've got a lot to get through. The centurion kind of nods a few times, then sorry, and turns and starts whipping his men back into shape. The dead are sort of wheeled off to the side where they lie for about a good 30 or 40 seconds before remembering they're already dead and getting back up and rejoining the lines and picking up broken spears and all that kind of stuff. A couple of them are pointing at your rifle and all kind of going like, yeah, cool.
One of these.
Stanley is sort of sick enough that he is being taken upstairs and is being tended to by his housekeeper. But the three of you now have run of the place. What would you like to do?
So we are being besieged by a bunch of ice trolls?
Yes. And it looks as though the storm is only getting worse. So we
And you
have
see it like brewing in the
a moment of respite and then onwards to the apocalypse.
It's not coming from
perhaps-
all around you. It appears to be emanating from the west.
What could have brought this on? I mean, we don't just get attacked by ice trolls every Christmas Eve.
Not in the bones that were dug up. They seem to be defending us rather than attacking.
Well, perhaps we should speak to Stanley. I mean,
Oh,
I came here for a good English pudding with sauce, and we're getting attacked.
Is there something-
bad rest for, if you wish, you can be spoken to. I also rather think that while these centurions defending what is not our home, but what is where we are staying, I think we should treat them with hospitality. I say we head out there. They seem to be becoming corporeal. Maybe they can enjoy a sandwich, or they'd like a warm tea. It is cold. And I'll rally the troops. And if you want to do a little digging into ice creatures and such.
Is there something in the house, perhaps, that they want?
Oh, Stanley does like to dig things. Possibly he's found something else.
Well, I mean, I'm no medical professional, and I don't want to worsen the man's condition. However, I think it's important we gain some understanding of what we're up against. And the best person to speak to that about is Stanley.
Yes, well.
We can be gentle. We won't do this nonsense.
Can't do anything.
Good cop, bad cop.
So walk me through it. You're going to go and talk to Stanley.
Yeah, I guess, because I have the best knowledge about a cult.
Mm-hmm.
I'll fix the sandwiches.
There's still the remains of Christmas dinner, so you can just like,
yes.
We cut them into
have
little
some turkey, have
squares. We
some
get a
cranberry
thing
jam.
of tea, and we head outside and we see if the troops need. We can have a route through the library after, but I'd like to see if they.
Absolutely. Can you make a charm with advantage?
Oh, I would love to. If I knew who my other die was, there it is.
And can you make me? You head upstairs and you can see Stanley there, and he's
Nice.
Good to see you. How may I assist?
I do not wish to distress you. However, there is some unusual events happening outside.
Yes.
We
It appears that my nephew was right. The Romans are returning to take England. Our fair shores will be gone once again.
fear not, my good man. I'm sure the sun will never set on the British Empire.
Good.
Unless it... I simply wish to understand if there's some kind of... if you could shine some light on what might potentially have caused this mysterious phenomena.
I simply couldn't say. As I said, I believe that the birth of the city we are in, this area, was perhaps once the site of an ancient Roman fort. And perhaps there's something there. Perhaps you could find more if you visited the church.
The church?
Yes, I believe that was the center point of where the fort was.
How far away is it? Could we reach it on foot, or would we need to take the car?
You would need to take the car, but you're quite welcome to it. It's not too far from the pub.
All right then, if you insist. We can hopefully get to the bottom of what is going on here, because quite frankly, it doesn't seem like it would be letting up anytime soon.
Quite. Don't mind. I may pass out now.
Of course, you get the rest that you need. Don't worry, Christmas will still be on tomorrow. We'll enjoy a nice fruit cake and with not cranberry sauce.
Bread sauce.
Bread sauce.
Bread sauce is no.
What
Bread
the
sauce is
fuck is
savoury.
bread
It's
sauce?
bread sauce. It goes on the meat.
I don't know. And mince pies, and we'll
And
be
Yorkie
singing.
puds.
We'll be singing Good King.
Wenceslas.
Worcestershire sauce.
Wenceslas.
And tomorrow.
Yeah, puppy stuff.
He continues to nod until you realise that he's quite slipped out of consciousness and he's just
Wait,
not.
you're just thinking about Christmas stuff. Yeah.
Oh, casserole.
So,
Casserole.
what next?
All right. Doesn't I don't think I have any drive order.
I have passing.
So I think I would like to go downstairs and announce that we need to, perhaps in between waves. No, I have none. Slip out to the church.
We're going along,
Yeah.
and Jane is passing out sandwiches and tea, and I've got rifles.
They are incredibly appreciative. Now, there's been no new waves. No one new has come.
Can they eat?
Yeah, they take it.
Oh, they better eat. I charmed the pants off them.
It's sort of
Success
you
3.
don't see it like sort of chewing. You got success 3.
Yeah,
Oh my
on
God,
charm.
amazing.
Like, actually, no, well, I got
Yeah.
half success 3.
Yeah.
I don't know if that paints a picture for
That's it. That's fantastic.
That's 1 in 10.
What does that mean?
So they sort of put the food towards their mouth. They really chew, but it vanishes, and they seem they're very happy, and they sort of keep reaching out to pat you, and it's quite disconcerting because they feel like ice, like sort of just the chill of the wind, and it's a freaky feeling. It's a freaky feeling. But they continue. They take the rifles and they sort of tuck in. There's an occasional by accident. Yeah, absolutely not. But they seem happy to have things with bayonets on them.
Here's the
because
thing. They can't die if they shoot one another, and there's a chance a bullet goes in the right direction, so I see no reason for them not to have them.
Absolutely. Now, as you're going along, the centurion joins you, and he kind of like joins. They walks along, and he'll and as he goes, he'll sort of he kind of pegs you as a military man, and will stop you every now and again and point to 2 of his soldiers, and they'll do some feat of athleticism, like leap to attention and dive down and crawl and stand back up, and he's kind of look what I've managed to train to get him to do and stuff like that. And
what can you do with one leg?
Nothing. I looked to the wife for a moment. The training hasn't started yet.
Oh, dear.
No, best not.
So they continue along. And as soon as he gets to the end, he takes one of the sandwiches himself and eats, and he does a little more chewing because he appears to be sort of more corporeal, and he seems quite happy. And he will sort of lean in and start to talk with you, and he tries to get he seems to be interested in getting more equipment. He'll go, horses?
No.
Ooh,
How? 40 horsepower.
No, we need
40 horses.
We need that.
No, the Romans must have their cavalry. The Romans will have their cavalry.
How many cars is
How many cars are
oh,
there?
he has 2 cars. One.
Ooh, the cavalry! What was it? The luck roll to see if we got a submarine.
Oh yeah.
Do you take him around
There's
to
a
the?
panzer.
Do you take him around to the car?
Yeah, absolutely.
It looks like he kind of.
I put one leg up on it, like very blokey. I don't really know cars, but I pat it and I go 40 horsepower.
How do you put one leg up on it without falling?
I put the William stump on damage.
And he looks across it and he kind of
I give it a.
Oh, he's very impressed. He takes a sandwich and goes towards the grill of the car and holds it out in a flat hand.
Oh, that seems simple. We'll just
yeah.
let him think that's how it works. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. And he'll kind of nod and he'll thank you. And then he'll siege equipment, catapults.
Lacrosse stick.
And you take him inside.
Yeah.
And he's
I don't think they have
fairly-
lacrosse in England.
Stanley travelled abroad.
Of course they do.
Do they?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes, they definitely do.
Absolutely.
Lacrosse stick.
He sort of is bemused by it, but kind of shrug. And then, as he's kind of thinking, he sort of raids the house with you, and he's taking everything out from like large dinner platters to be used as barricades. And
We've got what's like croquet sticks as stakes
Yeah.
up in the air and stuff. Yeah.
And they're very happy with you. You've charmed All of them, and they salute as
Absolutely.
you walk past and all that kind of stuff, having a great time. The last thing is they're sort of preparing, and the storm seems to be getting closer, you can hear howls in the distance, the same howls that the creatures make. They appear to be preparing again. And as he goes, he'll kind of nod a few times, and then, Flaming Sword of Mithras.
Hot poker?
You take him to the fire, and he starts to kind of allude to some. He is saying things like artifact.
Have you
flaming
told us that we're
sword,
going to the church?
Ancient blade, kind of things like
I
that.
assume I would have.
You would have arrived by now, and you can share that information. Yeah. Where?
Oh yes, charades! We're great at charades. Sword.
Yeah.
Church. Holy place.
You back it off. He starts saying the sword of Mithras is in Church of Mithras. Yeah.
Sorry.
Church of Mithras, not our church.
May have been repurposed over the years. Over these things are older and they built on the same ground. Yeah, it is. I'll tell you what, we'll fetch the sword. You hold down the fort.
Find Queen of Winter.
Getting it now? No.
Sword of Mithras.
Yep.
Queen of Winter.
I like his thoughts.
No,
yes, very practical.
I don't like to carve the turkey. It's too gruesome. I'd rather. You'd be fierce with the sword.
Can I suggest
I suspect I was the one who hacked your leg off. That's what I think.
what you? Oh, yeah, because you're
That's
a
where we
nerd.
met.
Oh yeah.
That's how we met.
Oh my god.
Dude, the eyes lock. You've got the mask on. All I can see is your eyes. I'm going. I love you. Yeah. All right then.
He always said it was love at first sight. There you are.
Aww. Well, let's make haste to the church so you can reenact that moment, except instead of cutting your husband's leg off, you can stab an ancient pagan god that is not real.
It won't be after we stab
Exactly.
it.
We are doing the Lord's work in vanquishing Satan's idols.
So you are going to get into the car, and you're going to head towards.
Church, are we?
All right.
Church.
I'm trying to think if we need anything.
What are you taking with you? This house has everything you can want. There are guns. You are cold. Like, you're getting like warm clothes and stuff like
Yes,
that.
I was like,
Siege
one
equipment?
rifle.
I will
Yep.
take a rifle, and look, I'm a man of the Lord. The Lord is my flame. A light jacket.
All right. A light jacket. The two of you are well rugged up. Shovel, I presume. A shovel. Yep.
Rope, crowbar,
Everything you could possibly need.
arm
just
break,
sort of
because I am convinced this is under a level of
Alright.
stuff. Sledgehammer.
Yep.
Sledging.
Fantastic.
This dude, he digs stuff up.
Yep,
Like,
yep.
he's got all of this.
Absolutely. You
I
take
grab a
this-
couple of books as well and dig unearthing things.
Yep, absolutely, yeah. So you prepare quite well. You bring you empty a couple of Jane's bags and fill them up with
do
supplies. And you come out, parting the bags, put them into the car, and you load up. You can see the other car has been taken by the Legionnaires, and they don't quite understand it, but they've pushed it to the front,
Yeah.
and they're like stationed in it and using it as a barricade, essentially.
Oh,
When I open Jane's
come on.
bags to go through them, do I find a Chrissy present?
Does he?
Early peek at a Chrissy present?
Oh,
Do you want to do like? Oh, I always just.
what would we get? Yes, it's like it's a long rod.
I go, oh. I don't take that one, so that she doesn't know I've seen it. I'm very excited. But now we have to survive until tomorrow.
Now you've got something worth fighting for.
A man needs to fish.
Yes. Anything you want to take in particular, Reverend?
So just the rifle, the coat. Would I know of anything in particular from knowing about the Queen of Winter, like these potential weakness? I mean, we were even told about the sword.
Is fire a yay or a nay?
Yay, fire. Yeah, yay at fire. Fire is
Well-
get rid of winter. Warm, fire.
We can grab a couple of torches.
Yeah, I was gonna say torches.
So you grab a couple of torches, things that you can actually light on. And as you're gathering things as well, the housekeeper is going to come down and seeing that you're sort of... she does say, it seems that something quite extraordinary is happening, and I know that you're capable people, and I wanted to give you this, Reverend, and she'll hold out a small copy of the Bible and hand it to you.
Thank you, my dear lady.
May keep you safe.
I put it in my other pocket
With
because
the
my
other
first
Bible.
pocket has a Bible in it already.
And you-
So now I have two.
2 Bibles. Exactly. You head out and you get into the car, and you turn down who is driving. Excellent.
You got drive.
Yeah, I think I have.
I don't have any.
Oh, I have base. Do you have drive?
40 move.
I see it. I'm sitting.
One
I get in the
causes you get up into the car and
I casually, but for the time, somewhat sexist. Oh, isn't it quaint women are driving these days?
I just go.
Well, we had to in the war.
you're now doing
Drone
some
supply trucks.
particularly bumpy routes.
Exactly right.
I believe the Queen of England was a
Yeah,
She was a mechanic.
She was a mechanic.
She was straight
Crowns or
up.
whatever.
She was also born this year.
Oh,
Also,
really?
my grandma.
Was she born before Christmas? Because
Yeah,
it's
she was born in April, I believe, and my grandma
damn.
was born in October. So they're like 6 months apart.
But she's
sorry.
not the heir.
Have they been
She
seen
wasn't
in the
meant
same
to
place?
be
No,
queen,
not right now.
because the king is her uncle.
Yes. And yeah, but that's anyway.
As we're bumping along, I'm
So we
noticing
have
how
to
quaint
save
the
England.
countryside is in an attempt to.
Otherwise, they
Dial
won't
back
make the
the-
crown.
Yes.
Excellent. So
Yes.
you're noticing how quaint the countryside is to try and calm things down.
Do I see an encroaching horde of gorillas?
Yes, no. So unfortunately, here's what you see. First of all, the countryside is not looking quaint. In fact, it's looking positively terrifying. The storm is getting worse and worse, and you actually have to begin to drive into it. You are now being buffeted by wind. Icicles are forming all over the side of your beard. You know, your mustache.
shepherd,
There's
the Lord
wind
is my
buffeting you.
shepherd.
You can hardly see. I would like everyone to make a Constitution test, and I would like you to
yeah.
make as well a drive auto test.
Constitution 20. That's pretty great. It's a success. 2.
Nice.
Critical fail.
Excellent.
succeed.
Okay. So
I failed the drive.
on a fail for the Constitution, or a fumble for for the Constitution, on a fail you are going to take 2 damage. On a fumble, you are going to take a D4 plus 1 damage.
I crit like 100.
You crit 100, so you'll take a
Yeah.
D4 plus 1.
Woo!
I succeeded.
You succeeded. You're managing to keep warm. You took a light jacket, and it does seem that
Yeah,
the Lord is not being your flame at this point.
Oh, 2 damage.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Well
on 10
done.
now.
How was your drive?
Failed
auto?
the drive.
Okay, in which case, as you get closer and closer to the church, the car is eventually going to get. You just can't control it, and it begins to skid wildly. You have 2 options. You can push that roll and risk it, and if you fail, you're going to crash into something. You can skid off the road and crash.
Awful icy out here, darling.
Wait, what's the second option?
I guess we hover.
Yeah.
Oh,
get
right.
out and go on foot.
Push the roll.
There is
Push
nothing
the
like
roll.
the warm glow of burning car wreckage on Christmas
Okay,
Eve.
fantastic.
Push the roll.
Getting windier.
Whee!
No, not happening.
Not happening. Okay, so you take a look towards your wife, and she's got white knuckle on the wheel, determined. And
I knew it was wrong to issue women the.
Goes against God's will.
The car is spinning forward, going left, going right, and you head straight for this. And just out of nowhere, all of a sudden, as you hear your husband yell, "Watch out for that!"
Gorilla.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair enough. And you spin just as one of those larger creatures is running past. And you skid, and you manage to avoid smashing straight into it, and it appears to vanish off into the blizzard just as quickly. But you skid, and you slam into a tree, and everyone is going to take 2 points of damage.
Woo!
Woof.
That hurts.
Yes. You pull yourselves out and begin to sort of hoof it along, and without the car to protect you, you are getting colder and colder. You're beginning to shiver. The tips of your fingers are turning blue. Absolutely.
Shit.
You're hauling this stuff, and you appear to be heading into the center of the storm. You are going to arrive at the church pretty quickly. I'm going to make you roll one last con check before that, because you may take some more damage. Before you roll, just ignore whatever that was. Before you roll, you spot the source of the storm, and it is coming from the pub. The clouds are like a great vortex that are emanating from the top of that place, and you can see it in the distance on that one large hill throughout the rolling area, and there's like crackling thunder all around and this great emanating cold and this howling blizzard that are all just pouring out from that center location.
We'll need the sword before we go back in there, I think.
Or is there a chance it was built on there? The church was built on something. Why couldn't that pub have been there? It had a lower level.
No, I think that is where the Queen of Winter would be. We'll find her there after the sword.
Right you are, dear.
We need to head to the church.
The church itself, you kind of wander down this sort of large winding road and eventually come to this building. It's very small, it's very modest, and it's a very, very old building, one of those churches that's been there for untold centuries with smooth stones and a small priest's quarters. As you get close, you're sort of pounding on the door again and again and again, and after what seems like 2 or 3 minutes, first of all, we'll make a constitution test because I need to know if you...
Pass.
11 points of luck.
11 points of luck.
Why not?
Okay.
2 extra damage.
2 extra damage on a fail, yes.
Whoa.
Colder and colder and colder and colder. You are going to arrive at the door to the church, and it is finally opened by this wizened old shrunken man who kind of peers in, and like you can hardly hear him over the.
Is he?
He's wearing priest clothing. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Come in.
He'll usher you all in. You head inside. He shuts the door. It's still freezing in here.
What are you all doing here out in the storm?
Sword.
You should all be praying. Can't you see the apocalypse is upon us?
We hold our prayers in our hearts, Father. We need your assistance in this time of need.
Can you make an education test since you are a priest to basically prove your priestliness to him? Quote some Bible verses and all the rest of that.
How much luck do I have? I use 16 points of luck.
Dunk.
I'm on not very much. 35. Yep.
Excellent. All right. Can we very briefly go to break for about 1 minute? There's just one thing that we're going to have to do very quickly. We'll be right back with you.
I gotta navigate to it. Hang on 1 sec.
Not quite yet. And
I'm not gonna actually. I gotta do it up there. Oh wait, we're good.
Excellent.
right your way.
Excellent. We're back. Thank you for bearing with us. We'll have some extra horrible endings for you, just to say thanks for sticking around. Now, you have arrived inside the church, and you are with this guy, and he is old and wizened, and you have just made an education roll, and you failed the education roll.
No, I
you
lucked
completely
it. Yeah.
You've lucked it. Okay, so you start kind of quoting some Bible verses sort of back at him. You know, we best be out because this, and he quotes back, but this, and then eventually
Bible battle.
and then you're doing that thing where, well, do you remember, I
think you'll find
16:24, and do you remember Leviticus, blah and blah, and then eventually you're out of good verses, so you just say the most obscure passage you can think of, and he goes, "Of course, I suppose you are right."
I actually know a really obscure passage.
Excellent.
It's the end of the book of Jude, and it says, remember he who will stop you from falling. And then I can't remember the rest, but I just always remember that's kind of a weird way of phrasing it. So by the way, so we would rather not fall to the ills of the snows outside. We must keep the Lord in our heart. Also, please can we come inside?
Yes, please, I'm coming. Okay. He sort of leads you through properly into the quarters of the minister, and you sort of set a fire, and you can warm yourself up, and you sit down, and you're like extremely
Yes, I can sympathize.
yes
It's very cold in here.
absolutely. This is one of those extremely hot Australian nights.
With Christmas sweaters, of course.
Such a good idea in hindsight.
And he says, "So why do you come here exactly?"
Father, would you happen to know whether this church was built in any, I don't know, ancient Roman ruins?
Well, it's an odd question, but yes, this church has been in service to the people of this community for hundreds of years, and several shrines have been built upon this place to many different gods, until at last we reached the one true God.
I see.
Very, very well, very well.
Are there some catacombs or anything? Any lower passages
Down
where
below?
relics might be kept?
Well, yes, I suppose there are. There's a section of a sub-basement that was never completely opened.
Holding on my shovels. Curious.
Well, it happens that our uncle, Mr. Stanley Graham, it would be quite the Christmas present to him.
That man has asked me more than a dozen times if he can desecrate the halls of this fine establishment.
Oh my! Well,
My-
the halls
my-
of the previous establishment, really, are the ones we're interested in desecrating. They're the pagan ones.
quite right. Sure, you wouldn't want to keep such artifacts in your house of worship.
You would presume to dig into the depths of a church on Christmas Eve? And he pulls out his pocket watch. No, on Christmas! On Christmas itself!
I clutch my shovel and say,
No!
I don't know to what you refer. No.
Can I try, remember, Father, that these things are but material possessions, and the true kingdom of the Lord awaits us in the next life. It is merely for history and science, which of course the church supports.
Make a persuasion test.
Hell yeah.
I lean over to my wife and I go, we don't have much time.
This is going to
If
be
that
hard.
doesn't
by the way.
work.
You'll need
I'm
a
just
one
going.
success.
Oh shit, my persuade's pretty high. And I don't know where my dice are.
They're in the three.
Okay. Hard, as in I have to, what does that mean? Get a
Half.
Yes, half.
Success check.
God dang it. Okay, give me a second. Oh, dang!
Not a fumble.
Nah.
He turns to you and he says, "Of course, in normal circumstances, perhaps I would entertain some of what you were suggesting, but as you can plainly see, the work of the Lord, or perhaps of the adversary, is plainly visible outside, and in such times I will not allow the desecration of a place of worship. And I will ask that once you have warmed yourself, you all take your leave."
You're actually
crosses his
turning
arms.
us out into the snow.
Yes, he is turning you out.
Alright, I'm going to ignore him and begin to walk downstairs. Mit mein Shovel.
All right, you kind of turn and you walk, and you can see a small staircase that heads down. It was at the side of it. Excuse me. Excuse me. Don't really. He gets up and he starts to head towards the door. The two of you could just move to block the door. He is a very old man.
Yes, but
Yeah, we do that.
The two of you step forward. Looks from one of you to the other and then kind of walks back. I never. In my own church.
Father, we do apologize, but it's for the best.
You'll save your apologies for the fiery pit.
Oh, thank you. I will.
So
Father, why don't you go put on the kettle and brew us all up a nice hot cup of tea, and we can sort this out over a cup of twining.
That looked expensive.
So indeed, you did head downstairs.
Why are there so many dead people down here?
You found a sub basement, and then getting down to the bottom, you found a set of stone gates that appeared to. You could see that there'd been work done trying to open them, but they appeared not to have worked. Although recently, as you get close, you can feel that the stone is hot. Very, very warm to the touch. And it seems like whatever heat has been radiating out has actually weakened the wall. And I would like you to make a strength test as you attempt to dig out.
It's hot because it's flaming sword.
An excellent impression.
Oh, I don't know how high your strength is.
14 points of laugh.
Okay.
I'm actually reasonably strong, it looks like.
Alright.
Yeah, you're pretty. No, you're not bad.
And as you kind of stand there, waiting, hearing, you hear like more clanging, crashing. At one point, the minister sort of sucker punches you essentially, and kind of looks down and then tries to sort of Bilbo Baggins lunge forward and get through, and you push him backwards. And
Did he bring the tea?
he does not. In fact, actually, you sort of force him to the kitchen, and he puts the kettle on and kind of watches you for a while, waits for about a little while, and then in the middle of conversation he grabs the kettle and goes, and throws it at you, and it's lukewarm. And he kind of...
Holding a priest
Did that
hostage.
priest just try and scold you?
Well, he's scolded you already. He wants to scold you.
Considering we're holding him hostage and forcing him to make tea for us,
I'm
I think
desecrating
that's
a
a
temple.
measured reaction.
Do you have any biscuits, Reverend?
I do, and you'll never get your hands on them.
I've hidden the fine china. You'll be drinking from the thick-ribbed one, bastards.
Downstairs.
Oh my god, I found the sword.
You open the doors and you head down into the basement level itself, and you're basically walking through into what is a ruined Roman temple. Subterranean. You walk down a set of stairs and you come through, and you can see it's the grandeur of this place has long eroded away after thousands of years, but you can still see up the back, to the faded smooth by time, a statue of a figure leaning over a bull, and appears to be stabbing it with a sword.
Hark!
And as you get close, and you can see there is a shrine in front of it, and covered with a small cloth is something that is radiating heat. As you pull the cloth away, you can see a small bronze sword.
Oh, yeah.
You pick it up. Yeah. Make a power test.
What? Do not tempt me, foul sword.
Oh!
Success 3 and
Excellent. Oh my god. Okay.
Times.
Now I have an additional question for you.
20.
Would your character consider themselves to be actively Christian?
Oh, yeah.
Or is it more just sort of name service?
Yeah, name service.
Okay, cool.
We go on the day and
Excellent.
stuff. But
Because yes, but you're not you're not fanatical in that sense.
So your head
Because
doesn't
if you were, the god Mithras would reject you, and touching the sword would have lit you on fire. Unless you got a
I am
success
fucking
3,
freezing. So.
which actually. So instead, what happens is it comes into your hand, it launches, and you are now holding a flaming sword.
I go holding up my stairs. I go, Jane!
You turn away just in time for the priest to go into a drawer, pull out a packet of biscuits, and bop your head with it. And you kind of turn and glower at him. When you come up the stairs, and suddenly your husband comes bursting into the room, waving a great flaming sword.
When she looks over, I go,
I swear.
oh, Jane, look, it's use the sword of whatever.
Oh, that. Yeah, just hold that. I'll get his quick sketch out. Yes. Oh, with the
Let's
muscles.
go and
Quite-
strike the
While
beast.
everyone's distracted, I take the biscuits. What kind of biscuits are they?
What kind of biscuits are they?
Oh, like jammy dodgers. Fuck, they're jammy dodgers.
Yeah,
Hey.
hell yeah.
Take some jammy dodgers.
Wagon wheels, are they?
I doubt it.
No?
Gathered together, you sort of turn, and I'm guessing you're going to leave this poor priest alone.
Yes.
As you leave, he kind of yells curses at you afterwards. You have damned yourselves of your actions. You have desecrated it too, and you have stolen my biscuits. You kind of head away. You continue down the road, and now you can see the distance. The storm has worsened considerably. There is this swirling mass, and you can see as you are heading towards the house now, correct? Yep. Towards the pub.
Hell yes.
And as you get closer and closer, you can see that the top of the house has been kind of ripped apart, and there's like hovering bits of masonry that are caught in the storm, and it's tearing things. Tree limbs, those lovely bits of foliage have been like all pointing and reaching up to the sky, and they're occasionally stripped of plants and things and bits of pottery and everything will just go like slamming around, everything caught in this maelstrom that is beginning to literally tear apart the world from this like central point, getting bigger and bigger, and the cold is incredible. As you begin to approach it closer and closer and closer, I need you all to make a constitution test.
Do we find any respite near the blade?
Yes, you can have advantage on this.
Hey.
Oh dang. Success 2.
Excellent.
Ooh.
Success.
Wait, we have a what? We have advantage?
Because you are near the blade of Mithras.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't improve my roll.
Oh. You're holding it close to the others and letting yourself brave the cold.
2 points of damage. Shit.
You are starting to get really...
It's all from cold.
Yeah.
And the missus's car accident.
You don't talk about that.
We don't do it.
And as you get worse...
Shit.
Who was going to tell Uncle Stanley?
That's fine. I'm still up. I'm below half health.
And as you get closer and closer, kind of staggering forward, moving, you start to head up this long driveway, which winds. You get about halfway up, and you can see, with a blanket wrapped around her towards the side is Maggie, and she's collapsed in the cold, and she's shivering, and she looks up at you as you go past, and she goes, "What is happening? What is happening? What did I do?" As she sort of lies trembling on the ground.
You can get.
I guess I'll go now. Do not fear, my good woman. Is there anywhere you can go? Is there anyone you could get away from here?
I have nowhere to go. My home is destroyed, and there is nothing but blizzard. I fear I might die here.
Stay close to our flame, then.
All right. And she'll stand and she'll begin to follow you sort of mutely with this blanket wrapped around her as you get closer and closer, moving further and further towards the house. As you get up, you can see, you arrive and you see the house itself. And as you're watching, like a large chunk of the wall gets like pulled up and breaks apart and joins the maelstrom.
Hell yeah.
Bits of ice is like swing around and cuts at your face occasionally, leaving these long, thin marks. And you kind of have to pull your clothes around you and squint to not actually get sliced up as you approach. You continue and you see that there is still the police car parked in the driveway. And as you go forward, you can see the 2 police are inside it. And they are both frozen at the wheel. Literally frozen. Both of them are dead. Yeah,
because there's no roof.
There's no roof, and they both appear to have died. Everyone make a sanity test.
Yeah.
I just rolled 2 10s.
Can't remember what my sanity was.
I lose my dice.
Sanity was 60.
Here it is.
I passed.
What's a fail get me?
A fail is just going to lose you a single point of sanity.
Oh, it's not so bad. Can have another one.
I want to have a success, James.
A success, you will lose no sanity. Well done. With the sword at your front, you are guarded.
Oops.
Oh dear.
Guns?
Guns? You have your weapons.
Do they have guns?
They have guns. They wouldn't have guns, actually. They wouldn't have brought guns. Rural country police
Makes sense.
responding to an accident.
Very good.
They would not have brought guns.
Baton?
Yeah, they have a baton.
I would like a baton.
You can take a baton. Yep. There's a whistle. If you put it to your lips, it will no doubt freeze to them.
Best not then.
And you continue inwards, and you head into the house itself. And you can see there is just icicles like dripping from the ceiling. This place is completely and totally filled with chaos. Towards one side, sitting against a chair, frozen, where you can see he was actually tied, is Clive. And he appears to have frozen to death as well. And he's sitting there looking kind of terrified and aghast at the stairs that lead up. And you can see a set of icy footprints that come down those stairs and head into the basement.
He was tied to a chair.
Yes.
Well, because he was in custody.
Yes, sir.
We must make haste. This place.
Onwards.
Yes.
Tell me, would you like the sword?
No, I think you strike quite a nice pose with it.
You will.
Excellent. So you have your gun in one hand, you have the sword in the other, and you
Pretty
also
good with a gun. I do not know how good I am with this.
you gather about and you begin to move forward, eventually turning and heading down. You're heading into the basement. I
After the steps are going up.
The footsteps head down to the basement.
Then we
Yes,
shall
they come
descend,
from upstairs.
James. We shall descend.
And as you can see the open sky from this building now. The roof has long been torn away.
Oh, wow.
Everything is
Do
like
we
you
hear
can
the
see
howls of
vortex.
gorillas?
Absolutely, you can't hear the howls of gorillas. You can hear this howling wind and not much else. You have to lean and like shout in each other's ears. And as you get down further and further and further into the basement, you can feel this cold just blasting up towards you, and eventually. Finally, at last, you arrive at its source. You were struggling against this wind as you come down, and you can see standing, held up oddly, as if he is a puppet being held up by strings, not quite naturally. Standing is Frank, the man you attended to earlier. His skull is still caved in at the back, and all the blood there is frozen in long icicles that come out. And as he turns towards you, his eyes are bright white and shining. But more importantly, he is standing in the middle of the basement, and he is standing just by the two, like looking towards the two doors, the staircase, sorry, that led deeper in. And from where the staircase is, there is like a shimmering distortion, like a rip in reality that is continuing to grow and grow, and it is from there the cold is going through. If you were Cthulhu Mythos experts, you would know that he is opening a gate to a distant world of cold and snow.
Good.
Prefer he did not.
I would like everyone to make a sanity check as you see this
Yes, one would.
incarnation of the Queen of Winter.
Oh, I failed.
Oh, I succeed.
Every dice I've thrown. Green one is the big one. 60. I fail.
All right. On a fail,
my
you're
dice.
going to
No,
lose.
I lost my dice.
On a fail, you're going to lose a d6 of sanity.
Oh, dang.
Hot dog.
Oh, dang.
That's a D3.
5. I'm out.
Oh, it is.
Doesn't count.
I went in Def Jim. Or no, I went temper.
Oh, what?
I still rolled a 3. How funny is that?
That's hilarious.
All right. And
I'm fine.
You are totally fine. Okay. So the two of you are holding yourselves together.
The one
As
with the
you
slamming
watch,
sword.
you freeze and you feel yourself this terror overcoming you. Will someone please pass me that rule book right there as we figure out whether you're going to get a good sanity roll or a terrible one?
Good one, please, James.
All right, well, let's see. Roll me first the intelligence test.
Green one is the first one. I succeed.
You succeed.
Oh, cool. You
68?
understand.
So you myself. Oh no, I fell. I'm 60.
Yay.
Oh,
So-
wow.
You're not going to roll
Sorry, my
insanity
bad.
then. Something is happening, but you can't quite put it together. All you know is you have this flaming
I'm
sword,
gonna stab it.
and this creature is in front of you, and and there is this opening gate, and you can see through it like just this endless expanse of snow and ice, and then up above a brilliant and alien sky that tears straight into space.
Yeah.
Let's stick a sword in there.
Yeah, let's take a sword in there.
Let's go to dex order.
Right.
All right. What are your dexterities?
40.
40.
40.
50.
50, 40, 50. Okay. So,
I had a rifle ready as well.
okay, perfect. So that will add
Oh, I
quite
also
a bit.
have a.
Yes.
I guess I would have read a
Yeah, you all would have readied it. That makes sense. So
I can't go with sword.
you
Mine's
had
probably
you had
difficult.
your sword primarily. But first is your turn. Then it'll be yours. And it'll be yours.
So it's just Frank in the room?
It is Frank in the room, or it is Frank possessed by whatever magic
Frank.
he is possessed by. Yes.
Alright, let me crack a shot off.
All right.
At Frank.
Certainly. Make for me a luck test.
Oh, I would rather you didn't make me make a luck
That's
test.
really
I
funny
spent a lot
because you
of luck.
spent all of it. No, you failed.
Okay, you click your weapon and it does not fire. It is too cold. The barrel has frozen, the bullet is locked.
Oh,
Nothing
no.
happens, unfortunately. There's still a bayonet at the end of it, and if this is only a simple movement. It will not take your entire turn. If you would like, you could go for a wild charge.
I would not like a wild charge. Can I pivot?
Yes, absolutely.
I would like to piff my bayonet.
Okay, make a throw test.
I failed to piff my bayonet.
Well, you throw it as best you can, and it kind of scatters across the ground and lands at Frank's feet. And he continues to sort of look straight ahead, not kind of really acknowledging any of you at this point, but turning his body vaguely in your general direction. What would you like to do?
I would also like to try and fire.
Make a luck test.
Oh dear. Hey!
That's good.
Alright.
That is a success 3.
Excellent. That is impaling damage. Okay.
Oh, no, that was
That's
a
a luck.
roll.
That's a luck.
That is a luck. Sorry. Okay. In which
But we'll
case,
take it.
the
Impaling
gun
luck.
fires. With a success 3, you know what?
Venge.
As a holiday gift, you can make a firearms test with advantage.
Yay.
Merry Christmas. No, God bless us, everyone.
Okay, firearms. Oh, just. Success 1.
Okay.
Hey.
A shot rings out. Roll me a d10 for the damage.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I already got those.
Schwang.
Forgot that we used them. Oh, only 2 damage.
Two. Okay.
Swing.
You slam it into his shoulder, and a gout of blood sprays out and then freezes directly behind him, forming like an almost angelic wing
That's
that comes
terrifying.
out of his back. And he continues looking towards you, opens his mouth, and starts going. And you can see him dribbling ice and snow beginning to form at the corners of his mouth, where spittle is flying out. It is your turn. All right, you are going to tear forward.
I will strike at the man.
Your wooded leg clanking on the ground as you rush forward. Make for me a fighting brawl test.
Fighting brawl, not swords.
If you have swords, you can use
I
it.
absolutely don't.
Fighting brawl.
No, we're close.
Aw.
Hang on. I'm still supposed to luck.
Can you like a combat roll?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
Actually. Anyway. That's 25 plus 9. 34 points of luck.
How many you got?
50. I don't think I've used any. Oh no, I've used like 4 or something. Anyway.
Pocket
So I haven't used any. Yeah, I'll use 34 points of luck.
Okay.
Oh
you
my
swing
goodness.
with this enchanted weapon, and as he sees it, he seems to react all of a sudden. His hands leap up, trying to defend himself, but as they come close, the sword flashes with light, and it drives him back, and he staggers backwards. Roll for me 2d6.
You got it. It's a great so 1.
Into
Lost forever in the tinsel. Hey.
6 damage.
6 damage. Okay, you're going to do 6 damage for having struck with a large sword. And on top of that, you are going to do an additional 20 damage for having hit him with the flames of Mithras. Alright? So this strike lands in and he like staggers backwards and his body begins to crisp and char and burn away. But you can see that he's still held up by essentially magic here. And as his skin peels back, you can see a core of ice around what looks like an ice-ridden heart. And he looks towards you and you can see hatred in his eyes. And you're sort of still confused. You went insane. You don't know what is happening here, but you have struck well and you have struck true. As he watches, he looks to each of you one by one. Do any of you make any movement or say anything? No? In which case he thinks for a time and takes a step backwards. Back into the gate that he has rent apart. And as he steps back into it, he leans through and the gate steadily begins to close. He is letting himself be driven back, but he will return. He will return and you know he will. And as you stand in front of this gate waiting, I want to put to you, if you would like to stop him from ever coming back, all you need to do is step through the gate as well, finish him off. And there's probably a chance that you can get back through the other side if you're quick. No?
Not in time for Christmas
No one?
pudding.
No.
Excellent.
Yes.
In which case, I'm happy to say that if all goes well, we will have started a wonderful Christmas tradition where the vision of this demon creature is staring forward as the gate begins to close, and all of a sudden the wind dies, cold begins to subside, you were left alone in the basement, holding a sword.
Does my sword stay lit?
The flames stay lit for a couple of seconds and gradually go down. And congratulations! On Christmas Day, early in the morning, you have driven back the beast. And
Yay.
Get that up, yeah.
now we are at the epilogue. Let me ask you, what's next for all your
The Legionnaires?
well, let me ask what your characters would be. You're going to go back and check, obviously.
Yeah, that's where we're staying to.
Yes, as the storm subsides, you're able to move back through. When you return, the Legionnaires are gone, but what is littered around the outside of your house is bones. The bones of perhaps 100 soldiers. It's going to be terrible. But Stanley's
Especially
very happy. He'll have a lot to. He'll have a lot to.
Especially getting the car out from that tree.
Ooh.
It's okay,
It's
he had 2 of them.
Oh, that's true.
Well, one they got used in siege combat.
The 1927 will be marked with terrible blizzards all throughout the year, but that is a matter of historical record, and you have managed to make them not deadly and terrible and absolutely awful.
You're welcome, world.
Exactly. What does the Christmas celebration itself hold for each of you? Do you try and put this behind you? Do you go and I mean, fair enough. The two you return to the manor, and after some investigations from the police in what seems to be a freak storm, and the mad ravings of the local preacher are put to rest. No one believes that people broke in and stole a legendary sword from his basement.
We're doing it's a comical, it's held behind the back.
Absolutely.
So we wipe some biscuit crumbs from our hands.
We will leave our characters as they rejoin for Christmas dinner the following day, with a wonderful new appreciation for the terrifying things in the world, and with something dark and cold and evil lurking in the distance and waiting to come again.
But not today.
Not today.
Is Christmas.
It's Christmas.
Crimsonous.
Thank you for joining us for this holiday special game.
Yay!
And thank you for joining us in general all throughout this year. We really appreciate every one of you individually and collectively. Some of you we know well, some of you we don't, but everyone who stays here and watches with us is absolutely fantastic, and we really appreciate it. And we'll be back doing more Call of Cthulhu games with more really, really exciting stuff. We're going to be taking a break. I'm going to take off this tinsel since the holiday game is over.
Lame.
We're going to be taking a break throughout for the rest of the year, and we'll be coming back in February next year with a massive, really, really cool upgrade to the set around us to launch into a new campaign, which is going to be run by David over here in the corner. Surprise, you're running a campaign. No,
Wow.
we're going to be running a Cold Fire Within, which is a fantastic Pulp Cthulhu campaign. We would really love to see you all there to join us in that. Thank you to everyone who stayed with us through Berlin and for this holiday special. We will see you next year with bells on, leftover from Christmas bells. And you can expect to see some exciting things in the coming month as we show you some previews of the new set and the new campaign and things like that.
So probably follow Chaosium on Twitter, right?
Absolutely.
We're making noise.
Definitely. Follow Chaosium on Twitter
Hurrah.
and on YouTube, where you'll be seeing a lot of stuff. And once again, thank you for being here with us. And thank you to everyone at this table.
Thank you, Jamie.
You're all wonderful, and happy holidays to everybody.
No backsies.
So, done.
I clicked the button.
We're still alive.
Oh, good. That's an excellent end to things. La la la.